No, it's got to be said. Seven Deadly Sins is one of those animes/series that I came onto reasonably late in the piece. And it's great fun. Like it's a great jolly world with enough serious undertones to kind of really twist it on its head occasionally. So the hope is that the game comes out and it's it's going to be, if it's even half as good as the anime series, it should be great. Well, I mean, I got some bad news. One, Shane's here, and two, we're about to talk about Seven Deadly Sins: Knights of Britannia.
That's a good joke.
That was a great segue.
Because I'm also here.
So, Seven Deadly Sins.
Talking about disappointments.
Yes, well,
I'm also
spoils,
here.
Lol, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on it, Shane? I mean, obviously, there've been a great batch of anime games: Attack on Titan, One Piece. There've been a great few. The anime games have become one of those genres where licensed titles can actually be good. So the hopes are that Seven Deadly Sins is.
Hopes are crushed.
Right.
Hopes are meant to be crushed.
Are they? Okay.
That's another thing. But has a fair amount of potential to it. That's the more disappointing thing. The disappointing thing is that there are a few elements there that I actually really, really enjoyed, but then was totally drawn out by
everything else around
it, and just the combat that was not that fleshed out in comparison to some of the other elements that were slightly nicer.
Yeah. So I guess that is the thing. So obviously the big part of AOT is how well they replicate the experience of zipping behind the Titans and chopping them. One Piece, how all the Hakis interact and things like that. So there's obviously been time and energy put into how these things work. Yeah. It sounds like Seven Deadly Sins, that's where it's lacking.
It's basically a very generic action adventure game, but then not really had any kind of depth input to it, except for this one system where it's got these traps where you destroy an object in the the world itself, and maybe a random crystal may spawn, and that crystal represents what type of trap it is, like color of trap. So green is usually a healing trap, then earth colored, earth trap, then other kind of colors would deal different type of damage. That system worked really, really interestingly in the combat. The only problem is that it just didn't mesh well with the rest of the game, and the rest of the game is not actually that fun either.
Yeah.
So they have not journey quests, but collecting quests where you've got Elizabeth, the main heroine, I guess. She has no attack power really. She can send out Hawk to distract enemies or damage enemies, but herself, she basically runs around and collects things.
Nice.
So there's literally collection quests. Then there's also the characters which basically all feel the same, except for Diana, which is the giant. She has a light attack and a heavy attack, but they only do one thing, and it's
no combos or anything.
It's basically that old Godzilla game where it was it's basically that, and that wasn't fun.
Yeah. So I guess that is the hard part. Maybe it's the diverse cast that gives it that issue. But with Barn and Meliodas and stuff like that, even they're so different enough that you would think they would have a little bit of fun. Say what you want about Koei Tecmo when they do a themed Musou game, they have a bit of fun with the character, the way they fight and stuff.
There's a lot of variation that could have been done to a lot of the characters, but they all just felt the same because the combat system didn't allow them to have any variations. There's specials that that any character can do and stuff like that, and they're different, but you still don't actually feel like they're actually impacting the combat system.
Is it still worth grinding through for a story or anything like that, or it's kind of no?
Not really, because also the facial animations are not fun either.
Right. So it seems like all the money's gone to the Narutos and the One Pieces of this world, and unfortunately, Seven Deadly Sins has been left behind in that grand scheme of things.
I hope that we may see a second kind of game, and they just step it up really massively. They either go down the angle of a Musou, or they go really well down on the dueling angle that they had. So there's Musou battles and there's duel battles also. They didn't focus on one angle, and it just felt like it was a disappointment. That's basically the best way to put it.
Well, that's a shame because the series is great. So, like you say, hopefully if there is a second one, they can fix it. They pick up the pieces a little bit better.